As Alicia began reciting her wedding vows, everyone expected it to be the happiest moment of her life. But when her father abruptly stood up and left the ceremony in tears, the room was filled with stunned silence. Alicia, both hurt and confused, decided to confront him about his sudden departure. What he revealed the next day had her questioning whether she should even go through with the wedding. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. She had tried to call her dad a couple of times already, but he was not picking up the phone, and it was not like she could leave her own wedding now. She would have to try and push this to the back of her mind. She eventually went home with her now husband Jeremiah, and only there could she finally get all this stuff off her chest. Jeremiah had noticed that something was off with Alicia during the second half of their wedding day, but he did not expect that there was so much going on. They agreed that they would go to Alicia's parents' house the very next day and talk to her father. Maybe he just needed some more time to accept this fact. But the fact that he had said she should not get married, that just kept playing on Alicia's mind on a constant loop. The next morning, the newlywed couple was out and about early. It was at least a 2-hour drive, and thus they had a lot of time to discuss the situation and agree on how they wanted to approach Alicia's father. When they finally arrive at the house, Alicia immediately spots both her parents' cars in the driveway. She is sure her father has to be home. Her heart starts to beat faster. She is not sure if she is ready for this confrontation. With the weight of his wife's gaze and the tension in the air pressing down on him, Alicia's father retreated. Each step seemed deliberate, echoing a mix of frustration and reluctance. Jeremiah glanced at Alicia, his face pale, still trying to process the inexplicable hostility. Alicia's mother sighed deeply, her eyes weary. "Alicia," she began, her voice tinged with sadness, "there are things you might not be aware of. Love sometimes blinds us to truths we should face," she whispered, a cryptic message left hanging in the air. As night deepened, the house filled with a suffocating silence. Every creak, every rustle seemed to question Alicia's choices. "What don't I know? Who is he really?" Needing to escape the oppressive weight of her thoughts, Alicia headed to her bedroom. Pulling the curtains shut, she sank into the softness of her bed, hugging a pillow close. Meanwhile, Jeremiah, sensing her need for space, quietly slipped out the front door, setting out on a walk, lost in his own maelstrom of emotions. Returning from his walk, Jeremiah's demeanor had shifted. "They've always tried to wedge between us, Alicia," he whispered, voice heavy with emotion. His eyes, once full of love, now bore a hint of accusation. "Can't you see? They're manipulating you, trying to turn you against me." Sitting on their cozy couch, Alicia let her mind drift back to happier times. Alicia's heart raced as she reminded herself that answers lay on the other side of this act. With a heavy sigh, she stood up, determined to unveil the shroud of mystery surrounding Jeremiah. As she moved towards his study, her resolve grew. Torn between her quest for truth and respect for Jeremiah's boundaries, she sat, fingers hovering over the keyboard, uncertainty clouding her judgment. Opening the messaging app, Alicia felt like she was diving into uncharted waters. As she scrolled through, one conversation after another, her heart rate increased with each cryptic message she read. "Are these codes?" she thought, trying to decipher their meaning. A pattern emerged. Several contacts, saved under generic aliases, engaged in repetitive exchanges with Jeremiah. The consistency of these exchanges was alarming. Who are these people? Pieces of a puzzling mosaic began to align in her mind. While nothing directly incriminated Jeremiah, the very tone and pattern of these conversations raised unsettling questions about his associations and activities. As the files loaded, a series of transaction logs, coded names, and figures sprawled before her. Every scroll, every click, revealed more about Jeremiah's clandestine world. The scope and depth of his involvements were far more extensive than Alicia could have ever imagined. With trembling hands, Alicia dialed her father's number. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Dad, you were right about Jeremiah." She relayed the evidence she had discovered, and in the ensuing silence, a palpable tension grew. Her father finally spoke. "I knew Jeremiah was secretly a dealer. It pains me that you had to find out this way." "Why didn't you tell me sooner, Dad?" Alicia choked out. Her father hesitated before confessing, "One of my close friends bought from Jeremiah unknowingly. He recognized him from our family photos and later confided in me. I struggled with how to tell you, fearing I might destroy your happiness." Heartbreaking realizations dawned on Alicia, revealing a mosaic of deception. "I need to leave, Dad, but I can't let him suspect anything," she whispered. Her father, sensing the urgency, responded, "We'll figure something out. Stay calm and be careful." Under the guidance of her father, a swift emergency plan began to take shape. Alicia would quietly pack a bag, gather essential documents, and ensure no trace of her discovery remained. Meanwhile, her parents would arrange a safe haven for her, far from Jeremiah's reach. "We'll be with you every step of the way," her mother assured over the speakerphone, offering solace in this storm. With a bag filled with essentials, Alicia left a note of goodbye without detailing her reasons. Hours later, Jeremiah's frantic calls filled Alicia's voicemail. "Where are you? Why did you leave? Talk to me," he pleaded. While he pieced together her sudden departure, Alicia's location remained a mystery, thanks to her parents' careful planning. Her father's earlier discovery of Jeremiah's illicit activities had prepared them for this very moment, ensuring her safety above all else. Days turned into weeks, and Alicia, under the advice of her parents and attorney, initiated divorce proceedings. Every document she signed pushed her further from the treacherous life Jeremiah led and the looming shadow of his illegal activities. It was a painstaking process, but it symbolized her reclaiming control over her life and future, away from deceit and danger. Months had passed since that fateful discovery. Sitting in her parents' garden, sipping on tea, Alicia pondered the whirlwind that had been her life. The heartbreak, the danger, the revelations. It all seemed like a distant nightmare now. Grateful for the lessons learned and the second chance she had been given, Alicia was hopeful for the future, ready to embrace new beginnings with wisdom and courage.